Okay. Um, how did everyone feel with the assignment? You guys sent some really good photos? I've got like a huge collection to go through. It's great. Did you find that you were finding lines or seeing lines where you weren't necessarily seeing them before?
Mm.
Show of hands.
Went looking for them.
You were looking for them. Good. And were they easy or hard to find?
Pretty easy.
Yeah. So a big part.
Except you made me think about my lines differently.
Good. 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 So I like that assignment because it pretty much exists everywhere. You don't have to be in like Yosemite to find good photographic lines, but the principles are the same whether you're photographing a still life, a flower, a grand landscape, kids, pets. Like it's very transferable across all genres of photography. And really, the aim of what we were trying to do was to get all of you thinking about just seeing Neil's cat, which inevitably has great lines if you were trying to take a portrait of the cat. Um, is to get you seeing better. You may remember that I said a phrase that the best camera is the 2 inches behind it, i.e. you. So photography and technology on the phones, on cameras has come a great deal, and it's going to accelerate even more over the next probably 2 to 3 years in terms, especially on the phones, in terms of what you can do. Whereas for most people, you're going to reach a point where 95% of things you probably don't need a camera anymore. More and more of the demand of what I ask to teach is iPhoneography. But regardless of that, whatever tool you use, the main challenge is learning how to see better. Remember, photography comes from the Greek drawing or painting with light.
Mm.
How we understand light, how we understand color, how we understand composition, which was very much what I was asking you to do with the lines assignment, was to think about composition. Um, but all of those ingredients that we covered in the previous class, that I'm not necessarily going to go back over today, but you have the recording to go and watch it if you need to. But all of those ingredients, the job is when do we use framing, color, lines, light, um, in each situation. And as you practice, you get better at determining what the right tools that you're going to lift out of your camera toolkit are to help you create the best photo. And a big part of my job is to get you creating, making photos rather than just taking photos. I'm just giving a little reminder here for because I know there's some people who were not necessarily present in person. I haven't seen you guys for a while. The key to good photography, probably above anything else, is intentionality. Is rather than just going somewhere and going, I'm going to take 50 pictures and I'm going to hope that one turns out. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to think about light. Where's it coming from? What type of light is it? I'm going to think about, can I find a leading line? And ultimately, what we're trying to do in the majority of the photography we take, not every picture, but the majority, is we're trying to take the viewer's attention to a focal point. Anyone remember what I mean when I say focal point? Feel free to shout out. I'll try someone. Hey, Sue, what do you think I mean when I say a focal point?
The place where your eye is led to.
You got it. It's just the fancy photography word for the main subject. You see GCA use that a lot when they do judging on the contest. They'll talk a lot about either attention hasn't been taken to the focal point, if they're coming up with a negative comment, or that the composition, the way that the photograph is put together, takes us to the main place. That could just be the brightest part of the picture. Often our eyes go to the highlights, the brightest parts first. But the key is to try to be intentional to take the viewer's attention to whatever it is that you think is the main subject of the picture. That could be a mountain range, that could be a portrait of me, it could be my eyes, it could be a still life with some apples, pears, and bananas, and it could be the banana. I'm just making something up. But what we're going to do today is we're going to use all of your, as a group, you guys sent me some really solid, good photographs that are going to act kind of as the framework for today's class. And then we're going to learn some new Last time we focused primarily on conceptual, seeing, how to see better. We're going to combine a little bit of the technical with it today. I know. Oh, hello. Is that a question? Nope. As a reminder, there's quite a few of us on the call today. I can't see everyone all in one go. Zoom never gives me the capability to do that. It kind of cycles between you. If anyone has any question at any point, just raise your hand. I should see you. If I don't see you, feel free when to interrupt me, and I want to make sure no one gets left behind. Good morning, Arlie. Could you just turn your camera on? And we've got one person who sounds good now, but if you do have any background noise going on at any point during the class, I'd appreciate if you could just mute your camera just to help everyone else be able to hear better. Anyone got any questions for me before we kind of launch off? No, everyone's good. Okay, great. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and we're going to dive in. So just let me know that you can see this picture, sunset picture. Thumbs up, everyone can see it. Good. And there's a few pictures actually here I purposely put in. There's just a couple, but not many that we reviewed last time because I just had some additional comments on them. Just making sure, can everyone see my writing there in red? Fantastic. Good. So when we talk about, I wanted to start with this one because I thought this was an interesting picture.
This is where I live.
Oh, fantastic. There we go. So also, I should tell you, I randomize all the pictures and I anonymize them on purpose because some people don't like saying that it's their picture. But if it is your picture, and if I ask and you feel free talking about it, pop up your hand because it's nice to sometimes to hear the stories behind them. So this is yours, Neil?
No, it's not mine, but I
Oh.
live down at the little thing down there at the
Oh,
bottom.
it's a picture of your house. So it's so let's go around the room. Let's start here. Let's ask Nick. Hey Nick, if you can take yourself off mute. Nick, where do you think that the focal point is in this picture?
True. I'm saying Day Island,
Okay,
which is that's the little sprig that Neil was talking about.
in
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's ask Lucy. Lucy, where does your eye go? Does your eye go there, or does it go somewhere else? You're on mute. There we go.
I think a day island, maybe also the ocean, the sky.
Yeah. The reason I wanted to start with this picture. So I think if I surveyed all of you, maybe 50% of you would say here, but some of you would say it ends up in the sky. Some of you would say it gets stuck here. There's this lamppost here. We'd call this this is a highlight because it's bright. This picture to me is a perfect example to teach of how photography is in general an art of exclusion. By that, I mean, we look at this amazing scene, sunset, beautiful clouds, mountains rolling in the background, the island, the ocean, like there's tons to look at here. The temptation is to try to show everything. And when you try to show everything, what often happens is you actually lose a main focal point, which I think to an extent has happened here. And you'll let the viewer's eye wander to numerous different places. So in this photo, some of you would get stuck there. GCA, by the way, always, they hate this. Judges on GCA, if any of you are judges, you probably know this. But look out for anything distracting on the edges of your frame. This to me, especially because it's bright, this is competing with this and this. Not terribly, but it doesn't need to be there. And when you took the photo, I mean, there's tons of ways that I can teach you of how can we like remove that afterwards, but I really want you guys to all get it as best we can right out of camera. This is just photographers standing here. They move from shooting to 12 o'clock to shooting to 1 o'clock. Not even that, to 12:30. You just rotate a tiny bit clockwise. This disappears. Or you just take one step to your right. Same thing would happen. So I think if we get rid of that, that's a good start here. I'm gonna actually do it. Don't worry how I'm doing it. I'm just doing it to pretend that the photographer took it like this. I'm just gonna fake it. So we'll take that out for a sec. And by the way, there's lots of smart things now. You can do this on phones. But we'll just take that out. It's not perfect, but it just, there it was. There it is. You can see it was distracting.
Mhm.
Okay, now this photo, whoever took it, really well done, because there is actually a leading line in this image. Can anyone spot it?
Is it the lights down the bottom
Yeah, so the lights are taking us here. Okay. Anyone else got where? If I carry on following those lights, where does it take me?
to the mountains?
Yeah. But I would actually argue here that there is an S curve
Mhm.
running through this picture.
Mhm.
And to me, actually, the drama of this picture should be up here. This is the like the peak sunset.
light.
This is the look at the light reflecting off the water. All of this negative space is arguably redundant. I'm fortunate enough to judge a lot of photography contests with other professional photographers, and usually the number one comment that comes back again and again and again is the photographer has shown too much. They've included too much. This is a perfect example and a great one for me to start off, and I can't recreate it exactly because I wish I had a little bit more on the left.
Mhm.
But even just taking out some of that foreground, adhering a little bit more to the rule of thirds. Remember the rule of thirds? I can actually put a rule of thirds grid on this. With the crop I've now done, we've got 1/3 foreground, 2/3 sky.
Mm.
The line runs basically through. It's not a science, but it's close enough. Whereas the original, the horizon was right in the middle,
Mm.
which again we try and avoid in landscape photography, because it sometimes makes it almost feel like it's two pictures. We have a picture down here, it's picture number one, and then we have a picture up here, and it's picture number two, and it's kind of been chopped in half. So whoever took this is a great exercise in thinking about what do we take out of a photo rather than what do we put in. Is everything in our frame serving a purpose? If not, we're going to take it out. This picture you could have said, I'm not interested in the island and I just want it to be all about the mountains and the thing. And you go to that.
Mm.
Take that picture and you shift one step to your left. You remove this house here as well. This home here, 1 or 2 steps. And if we just compare with a simple kind of moving of your feet, which is all that needs to be done here, we go from this that I would argue is a pretty good landscape photo compared to, let's put it back to how it was. Different. You could include the island. I've kind of been a bit aggressive. Again, watch the edge. See this line up here on the edge of my frame up here? Like this is distracting, especially when it's like either dark or bright. So I would probably crop that out just a little bit more, but not on this one, on the new one. Probably crop that out.
Mm.
Show of hands. Who prefers the one on the left? You don't have to agree with me. It's fine. I'm just interested because this is a subject. It's very subjective. Who prefers the one on the right?
I'm gonna do.
Okay, that's okay. So, but the key for you guys to think about, whatever you're taking a picture of, is photography is an exercise in distilling the complexity of the world around us. We live in this like busy, chaotic world. What are we going to focus on? A good photography word is, what vignettes are we going to create? They're going to help us, A, take the viewer's attention to the main focal point, and B, create something that's really eye-catching. And I see this so much, just to come back to GCA and Garden Club, with people who are taking pictures of flowers in a garden or even like in a vase in their kitchen, and the photo they send is the entire vase and all the flowers. That's more of a documentarian picture. That's like goes on Wikipedia and says this is a California poppy. We want to move you from being documentarians to being more creative. And my job is to give you the tools to do that. But this is a good little starter to get us thinking in that mindset of, and it's interesting, if we were painting this, or we were making a sculpture of this, we'd be adding substrate. I'd be getting my paint and adding it. Most art forms are a form of addition. Photography is one of, if not the only, that is the inverse thought process. And when you get, which I mentioned in the last class, when you get into that thought process, that straight away helps you make more powerful photos. So that's kind of lesson number 1 from today. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, good. So just watch out for trying to include too much. Often you need to, good phrase to remember, zoom with your feet. Don't be one of those people who takes a photo and it's like their feet stuck in cement. And they go this way and they go this way, but they don't really think to like move forward, move back, move around the subject. We talked about that in the last class, perspective. And also, ideally, for most of you, I know there's some people here who are shooting on Androids. Majority of you are on iPhones. Some of you are using cameras. But especially for those of you who are using phones, we want to try to harness the quality of the sensor on the back of the phone as best as possible. When you zoom, 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 pinch, 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 you use what's called digital zoom rather than optical zoom. And digital zoom degrades quality. If I would have pinched, 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 pinched on this image here, which I could have done, and got all the way into like, I made a landscape like this, it would have, on my phone, depending on what phone you've got, some phones are better than others, but even that, you can see it's a really nice photo. Still got an S curve in it, look at the meander of the river. But if you can move with your feet, don't be lazy and just rely on, I'm going to zoom in. Sometimes we have no choice. We have to zoom in. We'll talk about that a bit later. But a couple of different variations of that photo, all of which I think serve a slightly different purpose. This one, you notice the reflections more, but it's all about the sky. But nice job, whoever took this. Very nice job. Are you here today? Feel free to. Ah, hi. So did you take this on your iPhone? You're on mute, but I think I saw you said this. This is Pamela's photo.
Yes, I did take it with my
Fantastic. And a lovely, you got this unbelievable sunset. Let's take, even don't be afraid when you have a really good sunset. You can really emphasize it. If you want to be really artistic, you can go further than the rule of thirds and you can make it all about the sky.
Yeah.
The subject, I should have included a little bit of the ocean down there. But the subject becomes the sky. This is great when at this time of year where we have clouds and sunsets are beautiful. Well done, Pamela, as well, in that most people, when they're shooting a sunset, the sun goes down, if you can see that, or they know the time of the sunset, and then they leave. It's always the telltale sign. I'll be at like an amazing photogenic spot. There'll be 50 photographers line up. 70% of them leave the second the sun goes below the horizon. Actually, the majority of the magic happens in the kind of 5 to 15 minutes after the sun goes down. Same with sunrise. It's like 5 to 15 minutes before the sun comes up. That's when you're going to get, if you're going to get these amazing colors, you're going to get them. So really nice job, Pamela, and definitely even got lines in the sky. Look at this, like nice, strong horizontal layering. So really very good. Nice job. Let's look at this. Oh, this one. Oh, this one actually, I know where I put this one. I remember. So when you guys send me photos, please, whether you're sending them from your phone directly or whether you're sending them to me via your camera, you'll always have the option to choose the size that you send me. It will usually say small, medium, large, or original size. If you can, please send me the original size. Reason being is A, it helps me be able to just see it better, but B, when I present it, it doesn't look like this will look great if I make it like that. Because when it got sent to me, someone shrunk it. So you can see this is a really good shot, really creative. Look at the, I'm going to keep it slightly small so you guys can see it. Look at the windingness of the path. Interesting decision to turn it kind of, we're going to cover it in another lesson, black and white. This is actually a sepia picture. It has just one color, one little bit of kind of yellow greeny in it. but really good use of finding the lines. It almost looks like it could be the texture of a stone or some type of rock, like it's very abstract. And it's a good example of filling the frame. But please, when you send me the pictures, that's what happens if you shrink if you shrink them. So it just means I can't show them off as well to the group and see what's going on. And whether you're sending from a Mac, a PC, a phone, an Android, every time it's going to give you the option, especially for photography, because photos are generally big. And just please do send me the original size if you can. Everyone's seen that come up before on their phone when they've tried to send a picture, or same if you use Mac Mail, it's in the top right-hand corner. If you use Outlook, again, it's on the top left-hand corner. But just make sure you're keeping to original size. An original size, just so you know, again, this is kind of a GCA logistics thing, but I think it's helpful for you. So ever you look at the file size, it's usually going to be somewhere between 2 and 5 MB means megabytes. That's like what's standard, what comes out of pretty much every phone. Cameras tend to be a little bit bigger, but GCA will often stipulate when you enter something in a contest that it needs to be this size. And that's usually either the large or the original size. But for my purposes, for my lessons, please send me the original. Okay, cool. So with that in mind, let's look at this one. Really interesting. So this is a shallow depth of field, this picture. Anyone know what depth of field means?
Focus.
Yeah, it's related to focus. Sue, you were nodding your head. What do you think?
It's how much of the subject is clear versus not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the result of changing the depth of field.
Yeah, so very good. So the strict definition of depth of field that I'd like you all to write down if you don't know it. So depth of field, which you'll often see referred to as just DOF, and it's depth of field. Depth of field refers to when you're taking your photograph, the strict definition is how much of the scene from the front to the back is in focus. So I'll say that again. Oh, I've also spelled depth wrong, sorry. So depth of field is how much of the scene from the front to the back of your frame is in focus. We have the choice of whether we want to do a very large depth of field, that's the whole thing's in focus, or whether we want it to be very shallow. A shallow depth of field, let's just pretend we had a flower here we were taking a picture of. A shallow depth of field may just have a tiny bit of the flower, just everything inside my lines there sharp and everything else blurred. One technical technique, and again, you guys are on all different phones and cameras, and we're going to cover it, but I want to cover the theory before kind of how do we do it first, is the majority of your phones have the ability to be able to control depth of field, especially take a shallow depth of field picture. Although this picture I'm seeing when it was taken on, it doesn't tell me. This is Kerry's. Is Kerry here today?
But Carrie uses a Sony
Yeah,
camera.
that's what I was going to say. So I think this is a camera. But this is very achievable on a phone. But interestingly, when you look at this photo, so Kerry has chosen to use a very shallow depth of field. Do we think that these berries are sharp?
Mhm.
One is,
Yeah. So it's really interesting. The depth of field is so shallow that actually it's hard to hopefully you can see through zoom. But actually, this berry is sharp
Right.
and this one is blurry. The depth of field is so shallow, so skinny. It all depends from how much is in focus from the front to the back. And Kerry, I probably, and don't worry if I talk a little bit too technical for some of you just for a second, Kerry, I would have probably increased your F number a little bit here. shot with a slightly higher aperture number to get both of these in focus. Now, the other thing is compositionally wise, I think we've left out too much. Sorry, I think we've included too much again. All of this white space in the top left-hand corner
Yeah, I thought that
is
too.
called it's called a specular highlight. It's completely redundant. It's not serving anything in this picture. If anything, maybe I want to move it so that the berries are more on one of my nodal points. And again, that feels a little bit more complete. I mean, there's tons of ways you could slice and dice this. You could go the other way. You could do it close up like this. It's going to be a bit blurry, but gives your eyes an idea. But the original, to me, the subject is a little bit too centered. You can see there that it's something for you guys to watch out for. And you all should have the grid on your camera, on your phones. We set it up last time as a reminder for all of you on Android, iPhone, camera. If you go in the settings, there's the option to turn the grid on or off. For the time being, I'd love for you to all have the grid on. Eventually, you take it off, but it's a great guide at the beginning to help you compose better. There's clearly like a line here leading down. Is it a leading line? Yeah, maybe, loosely. But the key to why this photo is creative is all to do with the shallow depth of field. But in this case, I actually think it's too shallow. It's too narrow. Happens a lot when I teach like a wedding and event photographers, and they'll go and shoot a group at a wedding. They'll be like the bridegroom and the bridal party, and the bride will be sharp, the groom will be kind of sharp, and then everyone behind them is blurry, and that's not good. So we'll watch out for that, and we'll talk about that as we move forward. But strictly when it comes to thinking about lines, nice job, Kerry. Just again, watch for all that negative space.
Ooh,
And look at this one.
yeah.
This one invoked a reaction in all of you. Look where, well done, whoever took this one. Look where the horizon is.
Yeah.
So this is the inverse of what I did on Pamela's sky photo. This is 2/3 foreground, 1/3 sky, which is definitely the right choice here because plain blue skies are pretty boring. So if if he or she, whoever took this picture, had gone the other way, I don't think it would have been as creative. And look at Laurie, what type of leading line have we got running through this picture?
Say that again?
What type of leading line do we have running through this picture?
Well, we've got the foreground with the hill. We've got the bridge or whatever that is in the center of the picture.
Mm.
And then we've got the mountains.
Yeah, let's ask
Backs.
Kristen, where does your eye end up?
Oh, where's my eye end up?
Yeah, hold on. That was a good answer, Laurie, but I'm going to just go to Kristen. Kristen, where does your eye end up?
I'm not 100% certain. I guess in the center, but I'm not seeing a leading line that gives me an S that drives me somewhere. It's a beautiful photo.
There it is. Yeah.
There's the S. Okay.
There's an S curve there.
Okay. Mhm.
Now it doesn't, and I agree. My eye also potentially got stuck a little bit down here, but I think eventually it ended up coming to the back of the photo. And this is a classic example. This is a really strong landscape image with an S curve. So if we're thinking about all the ingredients of the cake, like one, this is using rule of thirds really well. Great. Two, it's got a strong leading line. It's got an S curve meandering through the scene. Three, let's ask Ali. Hey, Ali. Where do you think the light is coming from when the photographer took this picture?
From behind them?
Yeah, very good. Excellent. So you may remember that I drew a clock in our last lesson. And I said, if you're the photographer, you always want to pretend that you are at 6 o'clock in the clock and that the subject is in the middle. It makes life infinitely easier for us when the light is coming from behind you, from 4, 5, 7, or 8. Here, the light's coming from right here, over the photographer's right shoulder. That straight away illuminates the scene. It brings extra contrast, it brings extra clarity, and it brings extra saturation, color. Now, a lot of that is just luck that you were there at the time where the sun was behind you. But even if you were looking at this scene and the sun was setting over here, dead in front of you, at 12 o'clock, I'd probably want you to reorientate yourself a little bit so you weren't shooting directly into the sun.
Mm.
The phones especially find it extremely difficult when you're shooting directly into the sun, when it's not sunset or sunrise, as in when the sun is not weak and the sun is not low on the horizon. The photo can end up looking very flat. So this photo straight away has one, great composition, two, great leading line, three, strong lighting. Those to me are some of the foundational pillars of what goes into creating a great photograph. So really nice job whoever took this. I love that you included this foreground in the front as well, kind of the bushes and the plant material to help draw us in. Only critique, minor critique, but just make sure your horizons are straight. Just a little bit off there on the horizon. So we just watch out for this. I'm over egging it there, but don't do wonky horizons like that in case unless you're trying to do something really artistic. You're doing it intentionally, but usually we want the horizons nice and straight. But who took this photo?
Lauren.
Pamela again. Oh, good. So Pamela wheelhouse is getting into landscape photography. Excellent, excellent.
Oh, so fun.
Nice job. Let's look at this one. That's really interesting. So this one, really big brownie points for whoever took it for changing your perspective, taking it. Let's ask someone. Hey, Cindy, let's ask you. Cindy, do you think the photographer was up high or down low when they took this picture?
Down low.
I think,
Oh, someone
which
else?
Cindy? Did you ask Cindy?
Yeah, I asked Cindy.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think it was they were down low or flat because I do know that spot. It is
Yeah.
a stunning pic.
Yeah, so they're down low. So this is a fantastic picture. Great, clear, strong focal point right here. Look at that lovely light and that rainbow. Look where they've positioned it on the frame. It's almost textbook. Can anyone remember what this is called, where these lines intersect?
What point?
A something point. Good. Well done. So write it down if you don't remember it. So it's called a nodal point. And a nodal point is on a rule of thirds grid where your vertical and horizontal lines meet. And the way our eyes are kind of entrenched to see things, we generally find things aesthetically pleasing if we put the subject on one of the nodal points or close to it. And here, this is fantastic because we've got it on the nodal point. We've got a clear, long, like curved leading line taking us back there. And the path and the line is accentuated, is emphasized. This is much bigger than it looked in real life. By going down, this is a low perspective. The other thing when the person, whoever took this photo, has done is they've used a slightly wider angle lens. For those of you with iPhones, can you just pick up your iPhones for a second? If you've got an iPhone handy, give you a second. You can also do this if you have an Android. You can pick it up. And I just want you to open up the camera app, or just as if you're going to take a picture. Okay, and one thing that you'll see when you open up the camera app, I'm going to do it with you guys, is down at the bottom. I'm going to talk for iPhone first, because I know that's the predominance of users, but I'll come to Android in a sec. But for iPhone, the majority of you will have down at the bottom some numbers, just above where you take the picture. For some, depending on what iPhone you got, it's going to say 0.5, 1, 2, 3, 5. Some of you will say 8. But you can think of the lenses on your iPhone or on your Android, this is like having a traditional camera. Some of you only have two, it doesn't matter. And it's like each one of these is its own individual lens. On a traditional camera, I had to take off a lens, put on a wide angle lens, take on a lens, put on a zoom lens, a telephoto lens. If you hit, for those of you with iPhones, the 0.5, you just touch it, that jumps straight, it's the top one, to the wide angle lens on your camera. By wide angle, I mean that we're seeing more. So we're seeing more not only from left to right, but we're also seeing more from bottom to top. So you're kind of seeing down to your toes and up to the sky. That is one way, and when we were talking about Kerry's photo a minute ago, that is one way of maintaining what's called optical zoom. You're not losing any quality because you're just using the lenses on the camera. You're maintaining optical zoom. And what that does when you go to a wide angle lens is wide angle lenses, especially from low perspectives, emphasize leading lines. They make the lines look bigger than they really are. This path did not look this big in real life when you're standing there. It's like it's camera trickery, essentially. We're using a wide angle lens in combination with a low perspective to make this path look enormous and draw us all the way up to the beautiful rainbow and the lovely light going on up there. So that wide angle lens, amazing for landscape photography. Not very good if you're trying to take a picture of your friend or your family member or a pet because they're going to get horribly distorted. But know it's there and try and practice using it when you're at a big scene. It works really well as well for clouds and booming skies because it helps them feel really large and dramatic. Who took this? Very, very good. Here today? Maybe they're not here today. Well, Cindy, you mentioned you know what this point is. What are these sculptures here? Anyone know? If anyone else knows?
Yeah, it's the old granary. And
Interesting.
someone else can jump in, but it's down at Chambers Bay, and these are what's left of the old, or actually this was a gravel.
Gravel.
Yeah, not granary, gravel. And ships used to actually come in. So this is where they would store them, but
Interesting.
lots of the rest of you probably know way more than I do, but they're really spectacular.
Yeah, they are. And again, you could have taken this photo, whoever took this photo like this, and then you could have, if you would have had time with the rainbow being there, walked 30, 40 steps down the path, zoomed with your feet, and could have created a picture like that. It's a very different type of picture. But I want you to experiment. I want you to move around. You could have even turned your camera into a landscape orientation and taken it this way.
Cool.
Wow.
That becomes more about those like old ruins, the old decrepit building, than about the path. It's a different type of picture, but I think equally as successful.
Mhm.
The beauty of the digital, everyone, is it's free. Like I'm not like using a film camera. I want you to be intentional. I don't want you to but I want you to stand at a scene, stand looking at a rose, and rather than take one photo, I want you to take 10. I want you to ideally move between each one of those. But the more you move and the more you zoom with your feet, the more your understanding of what makes a good photograph and doesn't. You get also with digital, not only is it free, you get instant feedback. You take the picture and you can look at it. And you can be like, I don't like that. I need to move somewhere else. You may be like, oh, that's actually amazing. I've got it. But the combination of instantaneous feedback plus the fact that really the only downside is your time means that I just want you to try to take more rather than less, but don't lose the intention. And this is great. This is a fantastic, as a lines picture, as you originally sent it, it's really, really good.
I think June took this photo.
Very good. Well done, June. Excellent. Very, very nice job. Not here today, but you can come back and look at the recording. And we've got a couple of others of June's coming on later on that are similar that we'll take a look at. Let's look at this one. Now, this one, put in here on purpose as a reminder that our eye generally goes to the brightest part of the photograph, the highlight. Tends to want to go to the bright part. Now, interesting here, look where the sun's coming from. Coming from basically 12 o'clock on my clock. It's coming from where I just said try not to take the photo from. Here's the clock. Here's us taking the picture. The sun's coming from like 11:30. That's not to say you can't take a picture, but it's a little bit harder for the camera. And you can see like in this landscape, we don't have all like the really bold colors, but it creates a different type of mood. The silhouettes of these people on their fishing or on their boat, whatever, I think they're fishing, is beautiful. And we get this very ethereal light. The key though, when you're shooting what's called backlit means that the sun is behind your subject, not behind your camera, behind your subject. So this is my flashlight. Let me just get a flashlight up. So this is my flashlight. This is front lit, lighting me up. This is backlit. The sun's shining into the camera. And that's what's happening here in this picture. The sun's shining in. A great technique that you can all do, whatever your level of expertise, whatever tool you're using to take a picture, is I want you to write this down. I want you to expose for the highlight. I'll explain that in a bit more normal English. That's photographer's language, but good to know. So expose for the highlight. This is especially for backlit situations. When the sun, or it could be a window, but usually when we're outside, it's the sun. The sun is shining, this is the key, into the camera. Hopefully you can all read my writing. Everyone in my family is medical, so I have like doctor's scribbly handwriting, so I try to do my best to make it legible. Okay, so what does expose for the highlight mean? Expose for the highlight means that we make sure that the brightest thing in our photograph, usually the sun, if you're shooting a backlit, but that the brightest thing in our photograph is not overexposed. What does overexposed mean? Overexposed just means too bright. So we make sure that the brightest thing is not white. It's an easy mistake to make. It's something that can really ruin a great photo because your eye gets drawn to the really bright part. Also, when you overexpose a photo, you lose data. So even when we learn to do post-production things and editing, you can't get it back. So always when we're shooting into the sun, and this has been done successfully here, by the way, the highlight is pretty well exposed, like this is good. But I see it a lot of time where it happens and it doesn't happen correctly. The next obvious question is, how do we do this? How do we make sure that the brightest thing in our photograph is not overexposed? Again, I know we've got a gamut of iPhone, Android camera here. So I'm going to start with the majority of the room. The majority of the room is iPhone. On an iPhone, and you can all grab your iPhones now. And if you're sitting anywhere near a window, you can point it out a window because you're in the dark, technically, and the window is bright outside. And I want you to take, and same on an Android, actually, you can do exactly the same, is I want you to take your finger like this, and I want you to point out the window, and I want you to go 1, 2, 3, hold. So I want you to tap outside and just hold it for 3 seconds. So, 1, 2, 3, hold. And what you should see at the top, it's kind of small here, but you should see, I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, hold. Is it says AEAF lock in yellow. So you literally just make sure, so imagine this is my phone, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and the square will suddenly go like solid yellow. You all got that?
Mhm.
Okay. What that means, what the AE means, is it means auto exposure. This means when you point this on the bright thing, the sun outside or the window, this means that you are telling the camera to get the exposure, the brightness, correct for the brightest thing in the scene. And then everything else kind of falls into place. So whenever we're shooting a sunset is a perfect example. When you're shooting a sunset, you want to tap on like the big red sun going down. 1, 2, 3. And the camera will, you're then basically, the iPhone and Android, they're all on automatic. Everything's automated. They're just trying to give you a photo as close as your eye sees it as it can. That is one very easy step to start taking a little bit more manual control of your cameras. The other thing it does is it also locks the focus. We'll talk about that in a different conversation. But use that when the lighting is not optimal, which happens a lot. Like in this case, like we couldn't like run around here and come and stand and take the picture from over here with the sun behind us. It was what it was. But the highlight needs to be correctly exposed for. Oops. And I think in this picture, actually, again, hopefully you guys are going to start thinking a little bit like photographers. Let's ask, who haven't I asked today? P. Claff, are you, I think you're Pam as well, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Your name is P. Claff on Zoom. Anyone?
Patricia.
Oh, Patricia. Sorry, Patricia. I thought you were Pat. So Patricia, tell me if you wouldn't mind. What do you think if you were going to take anything out of this photo? What would you take out? You need to unmute yourself. Okay, we'll ask someone else while Patricia's just getting her mute. Let's ask Neil. Neil, what would you take out?
I'd take out the parking lot in the front.
Absolutely. So even easier, I would just walk. I mean, it's good you've got a high vantage point, but I would just move myself slightly further down here, but cropping out that parking lot. And I would also crop out this little, this is called, again, watch the edges of your frame. We call this a specular highlight. Straight away going to that, it's just a much stronger picture to begin with. I can't quite recreate it without moving, but there was way too much parking lot here. And I actually think the subject of this picture should probably be the fisherman.
Yeah.
Like they're the subject. They're in this lovely light. Like if you imagine, again, I'm going to kind of recreate it as if you'd moved. I'll just take this out. If you imagine you'd moved to a spot where we didn't have the parking lot, which would have involved just coming maybe 6 or 7 steps forward, then we're straight away going to get to a picture. Oops, definitely not like that. Sorry, that did not work how I wanted it to work. That's why. Where we're going to get to a picture where, look where I've positioned the fishermen. I've put them on the bottom right nodal point, pretty darn close. In fact, I need to pull them down a little bit, but close enough. They're on the bottom. And look now how we really get this lovely silhouette, this lovely kind of reflection of the light off the water. There's an S-curve going through. Even small point, but they're facing this way. So I'd want to have them to the right of the frame because you want to, and this is true if you photograph, especially animals, birds, dogs, cats, people as well. Someone's looking this way, you want to give them room to breathe. You don't want to put the fisherman on this side because then you're torn. Do I follow them or do I look behind them? Hopefully you guys can just feel when I did that, it just didn't feel quite as natural. Didn't feel as good. The word we'd use in photography is balance. This is a much more balanced composition. And this is great. Really, really good. But again, watch out for putting too much in. Well done for seeing the lines. And I think you may have, whoever took this, put the stuff in because you wanted the down lines of the parking lot, but it wasn't necessary. So nice job. Very nice job. Look at this one. This is a great one for perspective. Well done. Getting in amongst the ice creams. Potentially using the wide angle frames, like even the reflections and the color. got a clear leading line here, taking us up to this guy up here. Now, there's obviously a lot of all these you see is just a reflections of the glass. There's not much you can do about that. I can give you one tip in a second. But in general, as a fill the frame photo, I would have maybe angled my camera down a little bit more towards the ice creams rather than shot so flat on. By that, I mean, like, instead of going like this, just tilt the camera slightly down. It would have made the ice creams just a little bit more prominent and would have maybe taken out some of this stuff that we didn't need on the sides. But generally, this is really, watch out for the edges of your frame again. And I'll give you a tip. Whenever any of you, this happens a lot when people go to hotels. You're in a hotel and there's an amazing view and you want to take a picture out the window. This is the same thing, shooting through glass. You want to be careful that you don't see either you or lots of reflections in the glass. The easiest way, there's two ways to do it. If it's the daytime, you're actually going to come back to your cameras again. And this could be an iPhone, an Android, a camera, makes no difference. And imagine my hand was the window and this is the camera. Mistake that everyone does is they shove their same on when you're on an airplane. People try to take pictures out of an airplane and they shove the camera right up to the glass like this. The camera hates that because it finds it difficult to distinguish what's beyond the glass and what's on the glass, and you often get a picture of a grubby airplane window with all the dirt on it. A better way to do it is to pull your camera just a little bit back and then zoom through the glass.
Hmm.
You can practice this on your windows at home. It works perfectly. It almost eliminates all reflections because what the camera does is it's just a way of technically cheating the camera to not see that there's a window. The way to zoom through, obviously, if you've got a camera, you can zoom through. On your iPhones, again, if you open them, we talked about going to 0.5. You can do 1, 2, 3. In fact, I'm going to take my blur off here for a second, just so you guys I can show you this better. 1 second. Make myself some bigger so you can see me. So apologies for those with an Android, just for a second. I'm just going to show an iPhone technique here. But when you zoom on an iPhone, okay, so here's my iPhone, and mine may look slightly different to yours, but you have all these numbers. You can just tap on the numbers. And when you tap on the numbers, which is what I like there, sorry, you have to look at my ear, but there's my eye. If I did this and I was shooting through glass, amazing. It would shoot straight through the glass. Some people find this a bit awkward to tap the numbers. What you're doing here is you're jumping between the different camera lenses. You're jumping between optical zoom. I like to teach iPhone users especially. Most of you, when you zoom in, you're used to pinch, pinch, pinch. The problem is when you pinch, 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 is you lose quality. So instead, if you take your thumb and you hover it over one of these numbers and you kind of spin it like a wheel,
Oh, yeah.
try this, you're going to see that you hit some numbers. This is I wish they taught everyone. I used to teach at for Apple, sometimes I teach for iPhone to their employees and things, photography, and no one knew this. Everyone was pinching, pinching, pinching. An amazing tip to help just improve your photos where you have to zoom is just to use the scroll wheel. It's just sorry, I'm trying to stay upside down, but just to do like this, and you'll see a number. Once you get past, like on my phone, it's a number 5, and then all the bars get really close together. Sorry, I'm a bit blurry there. And that's when you start going to digital zoom, which we don't want to do. This area here, this is where we want to move our feet. But using the wheel, if I was on an airplane, what I would do is I'd be looking at the airplane window and I would just zoom straight through it. And then I would just tap to focus.
Oh.
And even better, I could do 1, 2, 3, hold, and get that AEAF lock at the top. That means you're locking in the exposure and you're locking in the focus. And that easily could have been done on this picture here. Just checking, can you guys all see the ice cream again?
Excuse me, can I make just a quick comment?
Yeah,
You
of
talked
course.
about this for for iPhones. I'm going to say while I was playing, I have an Android. While I was playing with it, I touched it and I don't have
A wheel.
the wheel, but I can scroll. So I have lines.
Yeah, you took
That
the
so
words out of my
for
mouth. I was doing Apple first, and then I was gonna, but
okay,
it is
sorry.
exact. No, it's great. Thank you for raising that. It is exactly the same. Those lines, you are changing the what we call in photography the focal length. You are zooming in or zooming out, and you're harnessing the digital zoom on your Android rather than the optical zoom on your Android, sorry, rather than the digital zoom. Optical means that we're using the camera lenses and we're not letting the computer inside the phone zoom in for us, because when the computer zooms in, that's digital, that's when we lose quality. So Android users, I want you to use the lines. iPhone users, I want you to use the wheel. If you've got a camera, it doesn't matter, because when you turn your lens on your camera, that's essentially what's happening. You're changing the optical zoom. So in this photo, what actually could have been done and would have eliminated all of these reflections that we see, all of this and this, is actually if we would have taken half a step back and zoomed in through the glass and then touched on these ice creams, you wouldn't see any of these funny reflections. Great tip for aeroplanes and hotel rooms. People send pictures to me the whole time they've taken on vacations out of an amazing room out of a hotel, and all I can see is them. And if you're trying to take one at night, turn all the lights off. Especially if you're trying to take a picture of a city at night, because you'll see the reflections of the lamp on the nightstand or whatever in the window. Turn all the lights off, and then you do the same technique of zoom throughing and then touching on the view. Will eliminate the reflection. It will look like you're outside. But great job. Who took this one? This one's really creative.
That was mine. And I have a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
This was with a GR3, so it's a fixed lens.
Yeah.
Is there anything I could have done to
Yeah,
fix that without the ability to zoom a phone? The phone is actually better with the tricks you're teaching us.
Well, no. I mean, let's see, what lens did you have on here? It probably tells me.
It's fixed. I think it's whatever that Ricoh GR3 is, a little street camera.
Yeah, it's a 35mm, I think, on it. Did you have your camera right up to the glass? Can you remember?
I don't think so. I was a little embarrassed because this was in Rome and I didn't want to make a big scene, and I tap with my thumb to focus and then take the picture. I have it set on a street setting.
Good. So yeah, I think you could have moved a little bit closer to the glass with your 35mm, I think would have helped. I also think tilting, as I said before, I think actually tilting your camera down, yeah, would have made a difference. And Nick brings up a point that the thousands of people I've taught, everyone at the start, especially those people who like street photography and travel photography, is you feel a bit embarrassed. Is you're like, oh my God, someone's going to... The more